Hey guys, I'm going to be tying a crazy dad for you today. This is one of my favorite smallmouth flies. Probably that and the clouser is what I'm going to be throwing 90% of the time for smallmouth. But anyways, we got a TMCO 5263 in the vise here, size 6. I usually tie this on either a size 6, maybe even an 8, sometimes a 4. But 6 is probably the size I use the most. And you know, any streamer hook really, TMCO 200R, you need 2x long, 3x long streamer hook will work. So we're going to start our thread here. I'm using a monofilament thread here. You can use whatever thread you want. Try to have it match the color what you're tying, or just use mono thread. And I just got some lead eyes here, and these are the extra small size. I probably wouldn't go much bigger than extra small. You could probably get away with small, but these are plenty weight to get them down. If I'm fishing any deeper, I fish on a sink tip line. And we're going to tie these guys in about an eye length behind the eye. Even just a little bit of room in front of them, not a lot. So I'm just going to make a couple figure 8 wraps with those guys, go around the base of them. And then at that point you can tag it with some head cement or UV cure, whatever you want to put on there. I'm going to run my thread all the way to the back and lay down a base too if you'd like. So now come back to right where it starts to bend, and we're going to take a little bit, this is just some rust colored squirrel dubbing, but you're just going to make a little bump. This is going to help splay out the legs. Doesn't need to be huge, but you want to have a pronounced bump back there. Otherwise your legs are kind of just going to go weird. Alright, perfect. So now I'm going to come about halfway up. And these are just some silly legs, bass skirt, whatever you want to use, just round rubber. This is just kind of a brown color. I'm going to take full 3 lengths, basically you want it to end up being 6 legs, so I'm going to take 3 full lengths and double it over my thread like this. Pull it up, pull down, and then I wrap back over them. Trying to keep those on top of the shank of the hook there. And once you get back, you can see they kind of splay out. So let's get those guys out of the way for now. Now we're going to make a dubbing loop, about as long as your fist. So throw my dubbing loop twister, whatever you want to call it, in there. Excuse me. Alright, so we got our dubbing loop made, and especially with this monofilament thread, I like to go ahead and just put a little bit of dubbing wax on here. Doesn't take very much, just a little bit, and that just keeps it kind of from falling off the thread once it gets down here towards the base, where that loop is a little more open. So now we're going to take, this is some Wapsie Craw Dub. This color is a rusty brown. You can tie it in rusty brown. I got burnt orange right here, tan, olive. Probably the darker browner hues are my best producers, but even don't be scared to fish even something like purple. You know, smallmouth aren't usually too picky, and you want to make this dubbing loop pretty sparse. You don't want to overdo it, so I'm just gonna take little pinches, about, you know, just not very much at all. So I would ebb on the edge of making this dubbing loop longer and sparser rather than shorter and thick. Alright, so I've got my dubbing loop there, a little bit more. Okay, so I got my dubbing loop there. I'm going to go ahead and twist that guy up. I kind of just sometimes just run my fingers over it and get some of those fibers untrapped, so you can see how it's real, kind of almost like palm ring hackle, gives us that same look. So now I'm actually not going to use, I don't like using my rotary function for this, so I can, you'll see me push back the fibers after every wrap, and That's really important. So I'm going to pull those fibers back, or take a wrap, pull those fibers back, take a wrap, pull them back, wrap. So like I said, it's kind of like palmering hackle almost at this point. It gives us a real nice, buggy, breathable look to it. Alright, it's almost there. So we're just going to keep doing that all the way up to the front. Alright, so you bring that right up behind the hourglass eyes. I'm going to tie that guy off. Snip it away and make sure you got that down secure, and I'll usually just come in with my scissors and kind of tease that out a little bit. You could use like a gun brush or dubbing brush or whatever you want to use for this, or bodkin. But I already got my scissors in my hand. Okay, so now I've got that nice buggy body. We're going to flip that hook over, because this is going to ride upside down with the hook point up. And we're going to take a little bit of bucktail. This is brown bucktail. You could use rusty brown, tan, whatever you want to use, but I usually like to try to just have a dark color on top. I'm going to take a nice little chunk. Oh, I don't know how you could judge it, but you'll get a feel for it after a couple times. You don't want, once again, you can really overdo it with this, so you know, that's about all I'm going to need right there. And you want to kind of even up the tips a little bit, so I'm going to take the tips right here and pull out these shorter fibers and then stack them on top of the longer ones. So that's kind of easier said than done, I guess, but so I'm going to end up with more longer fibers. So once again, I'm going to pinch the very end of the tips, pull with my right hand, kind of get those shorter fibers out, and then lay them back down so that they're even with those longer tips. So we kind of do that, pull out the stray fibers, and we're going to tie this in right behind the eyes. And I like to go make this extend past the hook, about a hook gap. Don't want to go really any longer than that. And this is just kind of symbolizing the carapace, or the back of the crawfish, maybe even the antenna. I'm going to give that guy about 4 or 5 nice turns, secure that down, and then hop it in front of the eyes, still on the underside of the hook. I'm going to tie this guy down now. I'm going to try and keep all of those fibers on top of the hook. So you want to secure that down with about 5 fibers. You don't want to crowd it. I'm going to come in and trim this about 2 or 3 eye lengths. And that's going to be just kind of that tail, next to the little, little fan tail you see on a crawfish. Come in and whip finish it. Trim my thread off, and then I usually come in here with this Clear Cure Goo Hydro. You could use Loon Flow, you could use Sally Hansen's, regular head cement, whatever you want to use, but then I put on where I tied that bucktail in. And I'll just keep that from falling apart. Hit it with your UV light. We're almost done. So now, all you're going to do is come down, trim your legs, and I like to make them a little bit longer than the body. So about, probably like right here, about 1.5 times, 2 times the body. And there you have it. Well, hold on, get these guys undone. So, there you have it. That's your crazy dad smallmouth killer.